There are things that you feel and cannot explain. A longing without a place, a tightness without reason, a strong emotion for someone you barely know. You pause for a second and think, why am I feeling this? The mind doesn't understand, but the soul knows. And when this happens, you are not imagining, you are awakening. These sensations appear in the middle of an ordinary day. They come as a hunch, a sudden sadness, or a desire to change everything. And even without knowing why, you feel that something is different in you. It's as if you carry memories that you have not lived, and feelings that seem larger than your story. Many people go through life thinking they are too intense, too emotional, or even strange. But this is not weakness. It is spiritual sensitivity. Those who feel this way feel because they came with a different mission. And before the mind understands, the soul already feels. This is how the chosen experience the beginning of awakening. If you identify with this video is for you. Because what you have experienced is not confusion or exaggeration. It is a call. And when you recognize the signs, everything starts to make sense. You don't have to understand everything right now. You just need to listen to what is already inside, asking to be remembered. Before continuing, follow the channel and turn on notifications. This ensures that you receive the next relevant content at the right time. Now, let's discover together the signs that show you are chosen. And you were just waiting for someone to put into words what your soul has always felt. There are times when you stop, look into nothing, and feel a longing that has no name. It is not for someone. It is not for a specific place. It is a deep feeling of wanting to return. But return to where? You don't know. You just feel that there is a somewhere where everything made sense, and you belonged. This longing appears out of nowhere. Sometimes while listening to a song, seeing a landscape, in the silence at the end of the day. And it doesn't hurt, but it tightens. It is a light but constant emptiness, as if the soul is remembering something that the body never lived, something that does not fit in this life, but pulses inside of you. Many chosen feel this from an early age. They grow with the impression that they are far from home, even if they have never moved cities. It's as if the world here is not complete enough, as if a connection is missing that you cannot find in ordinary things. This is not an escape. It is spiritual memory. This type of longing is a sign that your soul has already lived in other realities, in other forms, in other planes. And some of those experiences were so strong, so pure, so true, that they left marks. When your soul begins to awaken, these marks return, and the body feels as if it is trying to remember. Sometimes you feel the urge to go to a place that you have never visited, a country, a city, a landscape. And when you see pictures, you feel as if you have already been there, as if it were familiar. This may be more than imagination. It could be your energetic field recognizing places where your soul has been in other existences. This longing can also manifest as a constant search. You change homes, change routines, change groups, but the feeling remains. This happens because what you are seeking is not outside. It is inside. The place you miss is a frequency, an energy, a truth that you have already lived and want to rediscover. Chosen ones feel this call because they have deep spiritual roots. They come from places of light, connection, and purpose. And when they incarnate in a dense world, full of distractions and superficiality, they feel that something is out of place. And it really is. That's why this longing is not about geography. It's about essence. It's as if your soul is constantly saying, there is more. There is something beyond this here. And you know that it's true, even if you can't explain it, even if no one around you understands. This longing is your reminder. an internal whisper that calls you back to yourself, to who you were before you forgot. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not alone. This emptiness you feel is not a mistake. It is a door, a chance to return inward, to reconnect with the most real part of who you are, the part that knows where you came from, and that feels it is time to return. This longing is the beginning. It is what moves you. It makes you seek, question, learn. It brings you to content like this. It is the invisible thread that connects your now with what your soul has already lived. And one day, when you remember completely, it will transform into peace. You are doing fine, going through the day normally, when suddenly you feel a tightness in your chest. Sadness arrives out of nowhere. No specific memory, no clear event. Just a heavy emotion that takes over. Sometimes you feel like crying. Other times it's just a silence inside, and you don't understand where that comes from. This pain is not imagination, nor is it weakness. It is sensitivity. It's as if your soul is feeling something that the mind still cannot decipher. The chosen have a more open connection with subtle fields, and for that reason, they pick up on emotions that are not just their own, but also from the collective, the environment, or other lives. Many people feel this and judge themselves. They think they are negative, dramatic, or too needy. But it is not that. What is happening is a deep process of perception. The soul is active, and when this happens, everything that is out of alignment vibrates within you as discomfort. This pain is a message, and it needs to be heard calmly. Sometimes, you feel someone else's sadness, even without talking. You know that something is wrong, even without explanation. Or you feel heaviness in environments without anyone saying anything. This is called energetic empathy. It is your ability to pick up what is around you, and it can be very beautiful, but it also requires maturity to handle. Other times, the pain does not come from outside. It comes from within. And it is not always from your current story. Your soul may be processing old memories from other lives or inherited traumas from previous generations. Ancestral pains, things you have not directly experienced but carry in your spiritual field. And from time to time, they emerge to be healed. When this happens, do not fight against the feeling. Resist the urge to distract yourself just to escape. Listen, breathe, let it come. Sometimes all this pain wants is space to pass. You do not need to understand it precisely. You just need to respect what you feel. That alone transforms everything. It is also important not to isolate yourself completely in these moments. Not out of shame or guilt, but because there are healthy ways to share what is inside. Sometimes a conversation with the right person, a silence in nature, or writing down what you are feeling can bring relief. The pain wants movement. It wants space to leave. The chosen do not feel more because they are fragile. They feel more because they came with the mission to purify, to access layers that few can reach, to clear the invisible. That is why you feel before others do. That is why, even when it seems like nothing is happening, your soul is in full activity. This emotionally inexplicable pain is also part of awakening. It comes as a reminder. You are more than just a body. And this more feels things that the world does not see. Instead of judging yourself, embrace yourself. Instead of silencing yourself, listen to yourself. This is care. This is wisdom. If you feel this frequently, know, you are not broken. You are sensitive. And this sensitivity is one of the most powerful tools you possess. It does not delay you. It reveals you. And when you learn to honor what you feel, this pain becomes a bridge. It takes you inward, and it is there that you begin to heal. You pass by someone on the street and feel a tightness in your chest. You see a quick scene, a tear, a tired look, and that crosses right through you. Even without knowing the person's name, without understanding their story, you feel their pain as if it were your own. It is an invisible connection, but real. You feel, and you feel deeply. This empathy is not common. It is not taught, nor learned. It is something that comes from the soul. It is as if you carry an open channel, ready to embrace. And even if you don't say anything, your presence already makes a difference. The chosen are like this. They have hearts that reach distances that the eyes cannot see. Many people try to protect themselves from the suffering of others by shutting down, pretending they don't see, looking away, saying it's not their problem. But that doesn't work with you. You see, you feel. And even when you cannot do anything with your hands, you do it with your heart. Because your soul recognizes the pain of the other as part of something bigger. Sometimes you feel the urge to help someone you just met, or you become emotional with stories you hear for the first time. This is not weakness, it is compassion. A compassion that goes beyond the personal. It is a call to heal, a silent mission. And this mission begins every time you allow love to speak louder than fear. The chosen came to heal, and healing is not always about technique or the right words. Healing is presence, it is listening, it is clean energy, it is seeing with truth. And all of this you carry naturally. But perhaps for a long time you thought this was an exaggeration, that you were too emotional, when in fact you are just more aware. This type of sensitivity cannot be ignored. It needs to be cultivated. Because, contrary to what they say, feeling does not weaken. Feeling connects you. It humanizes you. It gives you access to dimensions of love that the world still does not understand well. And it is precisely this type of love that can transform everything. When you embrace the other, even without words, you are activating a sacred part within yourself. And often those who receive this embrace also feel it. Even without understanding why, they feel relief, they feel calm, they feel truth. This is energy being transmitted. It is healing in motion. And you are the channel for this. But be careful. Feeling for others does not mean carrying others. You can care without overburdening yourself. You can take care without extinguishing yourself. Your energy is too valuable to be drained. Therefore, choose wisely where to place your compassion. Give wisely. And remember, true love knows how to set boundaries too. You did not come to the world just for yourself, but you also did not come to forget yourself. The balance between serving and preserving yourself is part of your growth. And the more you understand your mission, the more you can help without getting lost. Your compassion is not a weight. It is your most powerful tool. Feeling for the other is a sign of a living soul. And if you feel this way, it is because you are ready to touch the world with another level of consciousness. You do not need to heal the entire planet. Just start where you are, with what you have in the way you can. The rest, the energy will take care of expanding. There are moments when something seemingly simple happens, but the reaction inside you is intense. It's as if a flame ignites in your chest, a mix of indignation, pain, and urgency. People around you may not be bothered much, but you feel everything in your body. This anger does not come from the ego. It comes from the soul reacting to the imbalance. Blatant lies, emotional manipulation, disrespect, abuse of power, all of this activates you in a way that sometimes feels strange. The reaction is quick, direct, hard to contain. You cannot pretend that everything is fine, because for you, it is not. Your spirit senses when something is out of place, and it responds. The chosen carry within themselves a consciousness that is more sensitive to the truth. And when something is dishonest, unjust, or forced, this sensitivity turns into strength. What the world calls anger, in your case, can be the beginning of a healing action, a defense, an adjustment. It is your soul saying, "This cannot continue like this." Of course, this anger needs to be channeled wisely. Yelling or fighting does not always resolve the issue, but denying this feeling does not help either. The secret is to understand what this energy is trying to show you. Sometimes it is pointing to a wound of yours. Other times, it is inviting you to be the voice that no one wants to be. You feel the pain of others as your own. But when you see this pain being ignored or caused by someone, something inside you explodes. This is part of your spiritual nature. The chosen cannot stand injustice because they have been called to correct the flow. Your fury is not loss of control, it is direction. The challenge is not to become intoxicated by it. It is to feel, yes, but to act with awareness, to transform indignation into action, to transform revolt into firm presence. The chosen have the mission to balance, not to lose themselves. That's why, when feeling this anger, stop, breathe, and ask, what can I do with this that creates change without destroying my peace? If you feel this intensity, do not judge yourself. Use it. This raw energy can turn into protection. It can turn into positioning. It can turn into transformation. The world needs people who do not remain silent in the face of what is wrong. And you are one of them. Anger, when guided by the soul, becomes an instrument of living justice. There is something inside you that has never settled. Even when everything seemed fine on the outside, there was a silent restlessness within. A feeling that is hard to explain, as if you were waiting for something to begin. A mission, a turning point, a purpose. And no matter how much you don't know what it is, you feel that it exists. You look at life around you and realize that just surviving does not satisfy you. Working, paying bills, repeating the routine. All of this seems too shallow. There is a desire to do something greater, truer, more connected to something that has not yet been revealed. And this moves you, even when the path is still hazy. This feeling is not confusion, it is a call. The souls of the chosen carry a more vivid spiritual memory. Even if the mind does not understand, the heart knows that it came with a purpose. And this constant feeling that something is about to begin is the sign that the mission is already drawing near. Sometimes this feeling generates anguish. You feel you need to act, but you don't know how. It seems you are always one step ahead of the answer. This is part of the process. The discomfort is not a sign of error. It is internal movement. Your soul is pushing you to awaken, to remember, and to step out of the waiting zone. Perhaps you have already tried to ignore this feeling. You tried to fit into what the world calls normal life. But even when everything seemed to work, the feeling would come back. This happens because your soul does not accept being erased. It keeps reminding you that you are here for something greater, something that is uniquely yours, and there is no need to rush. The mission does not come with a manual. It reveals itself gradually. As you connect with your truth, it starts to appear in your choices, in the people, in the ideas that emerge. And one day you look back and realize that the purpose has always been there. It just waited for your courage. The most important thing now is to trust this feeling, even without evidence, even without clarity. To trust that this internal fire is real, that you are not daydreaming, nor deluding yourself. You are simply feeling what is already written in your essence. And this feeling is the beginning of the answer you have been seeking. You wake up, fulfill obligations, talk about everyday things. But inside, everything seems meaningless. What seems normal to many feels empty to you. Working for money, producing without pause, saying what is expected of you. None of this fulfills you. Even when you try to fit in, something inside you always says, "This is not everything." This discomfort is not a lack of effort. It is not laziness, as some think. It is misalignment. The soul of the chosen does not tolerate living on autopilot for too long. It begins to react when you insist on remaining in a rhythm that does not align with your truth. And this friction manifests as fatigue, boredom, and even irritation. The chosen go through this because they did not come to repeat patterns. They came to break free. They came to build new ways of living, working, and relating. And this friction with the ordinary routine is a warning. It is not for you to adapt. It is for you to remember that your journey is different, that your path requires authenticity, even if it is more challenging. Changing this scenario does not mean abandoning everything at once. It means beginning to respect yourself in the little things, seeking meaning in your actions, speaking what you really think, creating spaces where your soul can breathe, and little by little, you will transform your routine into something more aligned with who you are. You do not need a perfect life. You need a life with purpose. And this purpose begins to appear when you decide to stop self-violating just to please. When you say no to what does not represent you. When you choose the truth even if it costs a bit of temporary comfort. This discomfort with the ordinary routine is, in fact, a hidden blessing. It pushes you toward the new. It forces you to ask yourself, what really matters to me? And when this question arises, the process of transformation has already begun. You no longer need to pretend. You can finally listen to yourself. If the ordinary suffocates you, it's because the extraordinary is calling you. And the chosen sooner or later answer this call. Even if it seems difficult at first, the freedom to live with truth makes every step worthwhile. And it is in this freedom that your soul finds rest, not in repetition, but in purpose. You are living normally, but you feel a movement inside. Nothing has changed on the outside yet, but your body is already aware. Your heart races for no reason. Your mind becomes more alert, and there is an expectation in the air. It's as if something is approaching, something new, important. And even without knowing what it is, you feel that you need to be ready. Sometimes this feeling comes as anxiety. Other times it feels like a different silence. A strange pause, as if the universe is catching its breath before delivering something. You have no proof, no dates. But something inside you is moving. And when you feel this, it is a sign that the soul has already started the next cycle. The chosen lie very connected to the invisible. They perceive what is coming before the world shows it. That is why this feeling is more common among them. It is not an illusion or exaggeration. It is spiritual perception. You are aligned with something bigger, and that is why you feel the signs before the results appear. This feeling is an invitation and preparation. A subtle warning for you to clean what needs to be cleaned, finish what needs to be concluded, and make space. Because the new only arrives where there is room. And if your soul is feeling that something big is coming, believe me, it really is coming. You do not need to control or understand. You only need to align yourself. Trust what you feel. Honor this premonition. And above all, do not ignore this phase. This is how new paths begin. In silence, with subtle signs, deep within the soul. And then, life responds with strength. Everything you felt without being able to explain was real. The soul speaks in silence, in sensations, in premonitions, and you heard it. Even when you tried to ignore it, even when you thought you were alone, something inside you already knew. The call didn't start now. It just became clearer, and now it asks for a response. You were never exaggerated, overly sensitive, or out of place. You just saw what others had not yet seen. You felt before others felt. You perceived beyond the surface. This is not a mistake. It is a gift. It is a sign that your soul is awake and ready to follow a different path. A path with purpose, presence, and truth. Perhaps for a long time you tried to fit in. You tried to silence what you felt, ignore the signs, appear normal. But the truth always comes back. It always insists. And when you allow yourself to feel, everything begins to make sense. Not because someone explained it, but because your heart recognized what was already inside. Accepting that you are chosen is not about thinking you are better. It is about remembering who you are, where you came from, and what you came here to do. It is about honoring your sensitivity, your empathy, your intuition. It is about stopping apologizing for being who you are and starting to live with courage. Now that you've come this far, I want to know, which part of this content resonated with you the most? Have you ever lived any of these sensations that seem inexplicable? Comment below. Sharing your experience can help another chosen one recognize themselves too. You are not alone. You never were. And now, more than ever, it is time to follow what your soul has been whispering for a long time. It knows the way.